The Ninth Pan Book of Horror Stories, Audiobooks.
Don't be frightened, Arthur. That's only a fly buzzing. It won't harm you. Just a little fly buzzing. Trying to get out of the window into the lovely summer air. Up it crawls. Up, up, up it crawls. Buzz, buzz. It's fallen again. Why not help it out, Arthur? Why not open the window and let it out? Dear little fly. Maria lost her temper. Shut up, you bloody fool, she said, and get into bed. You're drunk. My wife, Elizabeth, now lies in a hospital in Epsom, her face distorted with fear and disgust. They tell me she screams a lot, even in the daytime. They tell me she'll never be pretty again. Next day we saw the old man again. My wife seemed obsessed by him. This time she went to him and peered at him closely. He had shrunk a great deal. He seemed to be half the size he had been before. Elizabeth could see black sockets behind the glasses. His arms were wrapped in bandages, strapped around him, covered with a shawl. This time there was no crow of delight, no flapping of fingers. No fingers. The old man was a lump of bandaged rotten flesh, limbless, eyeless. Suddenly he said something in a low crackling whisper. The only words Elizabeth had ever heard from him. He said urgently, "Feed them, feed them." I think I knew what was coming, when my wife turned to me and screamed at the top of her voice. They shook hands with Henry, slit his throat, attached brown blood and breath bags to his wheezing lungs and dribbling arteries, snapped the bone, cut the remaining sinews and lifted his head clear of his body and straight into a preservation tank. The brain licked Henry's swollen lips and said crossly, "You see? He did that." "What do you want me to do about it?" Roger said. "I think you'd better cut me out of this head," the brain said. Miss Belinda Phipps lay ravished in the moonlight as the fiend, sated, drew his black cloak around him and fled amid the gaunt trees. He exited splendidly. "Watch out for the crucified man." "What do you mean by that, then?" "It's a haunt. That's what it is. She dressed up that scarecrow in her dead husband's clothes, the very ones, mark you, that he was murdered in, to haunt his murderer. Aye, and to hunt him down." He had just finished fastening the chain when a hand fell on his shoulder. Then he was home in his own kitchen watching himself in the chair sleeping. wake up, you fool! Don't you know it's coming?" Mad, they said. He must have gone mad. And Richard sat with the decaying foot in a soup plate in front of him as he ate his supper, now and then absently prodding it with his fork to see how sound it was. It had dripped a little over the edge of the soup plate and made an unpleasant-looking stain on the tablecloth. But you can take it from me that decayed foot doesn't sponge off all that easily. It's like grease, only worse. More like cat food left to fester in a tin, then mixed briskly with cobweb. "It's lovely, Rich," she said mechanically. "It's a foot," he said expectantly. "Oh-hoo!" said Emma. "A foot! You shouldn't have." "I did though, didn't I?" "A foot," said Emma thoughtfully. "I don't think I've ever had a foot before." "Don't be silly, Em," said Richard. "You've got two already." "I know," she said, "but this one's special, isn't it?" "Course," he said. "I wouldn't have given it to you else, would I, Em?" I don't know why we whispered. Maybe it was the loneliness of the ruins of the house. Our voices answered out of the dark entrance, the lonely crumbling wall, bitten through by time. The damp steps, leading down into the abyss of shadows, almost seemed to radiate in a feeling of... there's no right word for it. Something old, unholy, something evil. Evil, especially to us, intruders in its domain. Down there, into the absolute darkness, filled the first seconds with coloured lights and stripes and circles, dancing on my irises. Then, after a while, I made out the dark shapes of old furniture, the walls of the cave, and something dark, in a corner of the cellar, something slowly moving. It seemed almost to flow. An indefinable black form, laying flat on the floor. He stretched his hand to touch it, and then... Real fear runs through your veins like ice. It crawls upwards under your skin to your neck. Much later I came home to break down in my mother's arms, raving and crying, trying to escape from every shadow in the room. Harold cut an arm with a blow of his shovel, and the arm and the hand kept on moving, crawling over the floor. Then Frank heard something outside.